Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment we've all been waiting for where we get to review the film that made Chris Stuckmann abandon his whole belief system. It looks like Hollywood has officially been Stuckmann'Sed. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
A woman's search for her long-lost sister becomes an obsession when she realizes a demon from their childhood may have been real and not imaginary. And yes, if you are wondering, the actual film is every bit as uninspired as that synopsis would suggest.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Listen, there's going to be a lot of people who respond to this review and reviews like it by saying, well, you're just a hater. You're just mad that Chris Stuckmann is getting to do what you'll never get to do. Listen, at the end of the day, he should be commended for following his dreams and making that transition from YouTube creator to filmmaker. I'm not taking anything away from him in that aspect. If given the same opportunity somewhere down the line, I would probably do the same thing. However, I would not be so naive as to think that just because I got a peek behind the curtain, that somehow means that films should not be criticized. A lot goes into making any film. We understand that. But the reality of the situation is, a bad film is a bad film regardless of the route that we took to get there. That being said, in regards to Shelby Oaks as a film, listen, I would think that someone who spent years reviewing films would have put something out there in his first filmmaking effort that was a bit more original.
That makes sense.
My mentality in that situation would be to create something that I am not seeing in the films that I review from week to week. Instead, Shelby Oaks feels like it's borrowing bits and pieces from movies that we've seen before and kind of just regurgitating them out in this mixed bag of a film. Now, I understand this is his first feature-length film. I understand that there is room for growth. And I understand that this was a learning-on-the-job type situation. So maybe that's why he chose to play things somewhat safe, all in an effort to just kind of get his feet wet with this whole Hollywood thing. But at the end of the day, none of that really matters when it comes down to judging the final product. If I made a film and put it out there for everyone to see, I would want people to be as brutally honest about it as humanly possible, because to me that's the only way that I'm going to get better.
Boo this man!
Shelby Oaks very much feels like one of those amateur horror films that we all see kind of just wasting away on Tubi. Only difference is this one somehow got a theatrical release and Mike Flanagan of all people's name attached to it. And when I say that, I do not mean that as a slight towards low-budget independent filmmaking. We saw just a couple of weeks ago what a talented filmmaker can do with a less is more approach with Good Boy. In this situation, Chris Stuckmann appeared to have a much stronger support system from Hollywood, but somehow didn't create something that has a fraction of the imagination behind it, go figure. It's almost as if you can create better films just operating outside of the system. This movie is a paint-by-numbers horror supernatural mystery that begins almost found footage style, with a team making a documentary of sorts about 4 people who ran a ghost hunting YouTube channel who went missing. Kind of on the nose that Chris Stuckmann's first feature film features YouTubers, but I guess he was going for something that he's familiar with.
Put some effort into it!
So at this point in the film, I'm thinking that this is a very Hell House-esque scenario, but the found footage aspect is only in the beginning. After a lengthy opening sequence, the movie kind of reverts back to a more standard cinematic structure. And I don't know if this would have made the film more entertaining or more generic, but it kind of made me wish that this film was basically the police or the missing girl's sister going over YouTube videos trying to look for clues and figure out what happened to these people. And that plotline very much is in the film, but it feels rushed and somewhat glossed over. So you could say that they had something in the setup, but the movie kind of takes a turn for the worst when they abandon the found footage investigative aspect of the movie. From that moment on, it's a woman looking for her sister and trying to convince people that she's not crazy. As she navigates through more horror cliches and generic dialogue than some people are going to be able to stomach. I think the best part of the film is Camille Sullivan as Mia the sister, who is doing the absolute best with the material she is given. And shout out to Keith David as well, who is always a treat to see, but outside of that, there's not much here to write home about. Even the more horror elements of the film were largely unimpressive. A couple of the jump scares got me, no doubt, and I did think that the film had a certain level of atmosphere that I wished the overall plot of the film capitalized on more. But at the end of the day, what we got was your standard supernatural witchcraft demon possession movie. And it does absolutely nothing to make you think you are watching something that you are going to remember 5 minutes after you leave the theater.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Chris Stuckmann does try to do a little bit of world building here, a little bit of lore building, but all of it feels mostly underdeveloped. It also feels like initially the film might have had something to say in regards to the way that society reacts to these viral moments and situations. But again, the film lacks the focus to truly bring that idea home. In a lot of ways, this film pretty much feels exactly like what it is, an independent film masquerading as a studio film, but somehow lacking any of the charm and any of the inventiveness that makes some independent films break through into the mainstream. Think about how the original Paranormal Activity gained notoriety through genuine word of mouth. That film showed people something that it felt like they had never seen before in the paranormal film realm, and it felt real on top of that. Shelby Oaks doesn't really show us anything that we haven't seen in another film before, and if we have seen it in another film before, it's been done a lot better.
Not impressed.
Bottom line, I give Chris Stuckmann credit for taking that leap, putting himself out there in regards to creating something. I just wish that he was able to create something that was a bit more original, a lot more interesting, and a lot less basic. Shelby Oaks is a forgettable horror film that will most likely not leave much of an impression on you. Outside, of course, of the novelty that it was created by a YouTuber that you might have watched from time to time. It's almost frustrating that Chris Stuckmann got the opportunity that a lot of people dream of, and he really didn't make the best of it. I have no doubt the experience of creating this film was priceless, and it will be something that he will never forget. But in the end, the final product, to me, just felt like a massive missed opportunity. And that's why I'm going to give Shelby Oaks the Angry Rocky.
The dreaded stinks!
Y'all be cool. Shut up.